Well, good afternoon, my friends. This is Lamar with a very special broadcast on a Tuesday afternoon. We'll let you guys come on. We're going to get started here in about 60 seconds. Please invite your friends. What's going on, Mr. Dennis, Crystal? Good to have you guys on. We're going to let this build up and get our audience all caught up. You may have caught my post yesterday. There was an interesting question for the day that I posted, and many of you commented on that, so I want to thank you. And I said that I'm going to be sharing some information with you at 2:30 Eastern Standard Time today. And the title of this broadcast is a very personal broadcast. This has absolutely nothing to do with business or a whole new me. Indirectly, I guess, a whole new me. You'll start to see some things, but I'm going to be sharing, I'm going to open up and I'm going to share some very personal details of some things that have been going on in my life that I want to share with those of you that, if you're listening, you obviously embrace me. And so I want to reciprocate by embracing you. There are people that are going to benefit from this greater than others. Some of you may or may not understand completely, and I welcome you to inbox me if you ever have questions about some of the information I'm about to talk about. But I want to respect your time. As I said, I would share this podcast at 2:30 today. The title of this is called My Mourning is Over. 3 years ago, I came to Florida. I left a life that I had pretty much knew all my life, at least 39 years of my life. My life was involved. I grew up in a religious household. So there were some fundamental things that had been instilled into me as a child growing up as an adult, which I credit that make me who I am today and why I interact with people and the care that I try to bring to people. Does not mean just because you weren't raised the same way that I was raised, you don't have those same qualities. I don't mean that at all. It just, that's what it did for me. I was raised as one of Jehovah's Witnesses growing up as a kid. And I chose, when you hear me talk about certain aspects of relationships and why it's important to have certain finances in place, quality time, you hear me talk about love languages, you're hearing a lot of those things because of what I have learned 3 years after coming out of a 19-year marriage. I was married for 19 years. And I made some mistakes. And I have owned those mistakes over and over and over. And I took steps 3 years ago to rectify the mistakes that I made according to the rules and regulations of the church. It was their decision that I no longer could be a member of the congregation. And so I was, in the verbiage that I don't accept the titles, let me just be real clear, in their verbiage, I was what's called disfellowshipped. So all that simply means is that it's a warning to the rest of everyone else in that church that they can't have anything to do with me, and that includes family as well. I'm giving you this background because I just got back. I landed at the airport from my trip back home to Tulsa this weekend, and it was an emotional roller coaster weekend. I'm going to share some of those details with you as well. Anyone that has experienced religious shunning Jehovah's Witnesses are not the only religion that does that, but there are others that shun as well. But I want this to be of benefit. And so this is why the title is called My Mourning is Over, because with the help of a friend, I was talking with her yesterday, and I was sharing with her some of the things that happened this weekend. And she just connected. She's like, you've been in mourning for 3 years. And ultimately, I have not had communication with my family for the last 3 years. I had not heard my mother's voice in 3 years. I hadn't seen her face or picture, my sister. My dad called me periodically when there's a death in the family, and that's about it. He called me last April 1st of May, or this past April 1st of May, and informed me that he had been diagnosed with cancer. I periodically would call to check and see how he's doing, but I would only visit with him. So I have not spoken with my mom. So I'm going to share with you what happened last week. If you caught my broadcast last Thursday, there was some information that I shared. I had just gotten a phone call from my sister, and she informed me that and I hadn't spoken with my sister. Now, when I seen his number pop up on my phone, and then I heard her voice, it ultimately scared me, as you can imagine. And which I knew his situation, he had been getting weaker and weaker and losing weight and so forth. And she informed me that he had been put into the hospital. There was some concerns about internal bleeding and so forth, but there was no true urgency behind her voice. She just let me know she knew I was coming in town. I was planning on being there on Monday. And the conversation that I'd had with my dad, and I'm going to weave in and out of this to where you can hear what some of these pain points are. Because in my plans to go to Tulsa, he had shared with me that he would be the only one that I would see. I wouldn't be seeing my mom because, again, they do not associate with someone that has been put out of the congregation until that person has come back. Well, I have not made any plans. When I first came to Florida, I tried to go to their meetings and so forth and make plans to come back, but I was rejected. And so I have not gone to another meeting for over a year and a half. And that is not a choice of life that I choose to live into the future. You've never heard me talk to you about religion or anything like that, and you never will, because that, again, is I don't choose to live my life that way. So I get this call from her, and there's no sense of urgency. And then I did my broadcast last Thursday, and we talked about love, and I shared a little bit with you. Well, after that broadcast, I got a text from my ex-wife, text, and then her and I spoke, and she said, "What do you know?" And I said, what my sister told me. She's like, "If you can get here tomorrow, he may not make it till Monday." And so that's why I put out the post on Friday, the question for the day, because now I had to make arrangements. Now, I already was going to Houston to go to a friend's birthday party, which I wound up going to the birthday party, but I'll get to that. And I get on the plane Friday afternoon. I rush to Tulsa. I get to see my mom. We have an amazing embrace and cry. And it was very special because, of course, I miss and I love my mom. And saw my dad in the hospital bed there, 6'3", 153 pounds, very skinny, obviously very sick. I enjoyed the evening with my family that evening, Friday evening. But I was starting to wonder, like, his energy level seemed to be not of somebody that is about to go. I was expecting to see someone in a coma or near a coma or something like that. And they couldn't understand it either, because all of a sudden, from the days before, his energy was totally different than what it was when I got there. I spent the night Friday, and then on Saturday morning, this is where the sad part. And this is why anyone that's out here who has faced rejection from their family or shunning, my encouragement to you is please, please, please do not allow the conscience of other people. You can respect it, but do not allow the conscience of other people affect or dictate your course of action in life. Hold your head high. I'm about to share something that, I wish I had recorded the conversation, but I did not, because people wouldn't believe that those words that I'm about to tell you would have come out of my father's mouth. And I don't mean this disrespectfully, and I'm not doing this just to air dirty laundry or anything like that. I'm simply sharing this because I have to release myself of anything that has held me back, because from this point forward, there are so many great things with the friends and the relationships that I have built. that must be accomplished. And this is what I'm focused on. I was about to get up and do my walk because there's a beautiful park across the street at the hospital. And I was going to do my walk at 8 o'clock to coordinate with the walkers here at 9 o'clock. My walk is very important on Saturday mornings, but I did not get it in because he said, well, before you leave, I just want to talk to you. And he asked my sister to leave the room. And so I'm asking, how you doing? How did you sleep? And he said he didn't sleep. And he said he didn't sleep because his conscience bothered him because I was there. That kind of set me back for a bit. And then he went on to explain, doing things God's way, and that my presence. Now, I came early. Remember, I was supposed to have been there on Monday. So I showed up early, which was not a part of his plans. And I showed up early. We sat there and enjoyed Friday evening. But he tells me that he could not consciously allow me to be there in the room. And so he asked me, did I have other arrangements? He knew I had plans to go to Houston. I said, no, I had canceled those to come here. And he offered me money to make other arrangements, get a hotel room. But he says, I'm going to have to ask you to leave. You're not a part of the family because of what you did, the choices that you made. You're not a part of the family, and you're no longer part of the congregation. And you haven't done anything to rectify that. Well, that's neither here nor there, and I could get into some of that, but this is not about bashing a religion or anything like that. That's for another day. That truly was a very, very gut punch that I was not expecting. So we asked my sister to get my mom to come up to the hotel, to the hospital, and my ex, because my ex still helps the family out. They're all still of the same church and everything. And so I then went and made some other arrangements because I'm not going to stay in Tulsa. I had a return flight set up for today, which I fulfilled, but I didn't have anything to do. I didn't want to sit there in Tulsa around that kind of energy, or I could have went and seen other people. So I jumped on an airplane and at 12 o'clock and flew down to Houston. I said, I have a birthday party. Now, I canceled because I didn't want to go to this birthday party and something was to happen. I felt like I would feel horrible. But once I realized where we were and what was up, I was free to go and entertain and just have a hell of a time. So I went down to Houston, surprised my friends. We had a great party. You saw a couple of videos and pictures that we put up. Stayed down there for 2 days, flew back up to Tulsa so that I could catch the flight that was originally booked because it was going to cost too much money to, and I don't want to get into all the finances. That's not the point of this video. But I got a chance to see a client, hung out with a client last night, caught my flight, and flew on home. My ex took me back to the airport when I left the hospital, and she was pretty brokenhearted. And she did tell me, she said, not everybody feels the same way he does. And this is part of why I'm sharing with you, and for those that experience shunning, that be careful of the certain consciences. Not everyone feels the same way. But she felt bad because she got me to come up there sooner. But what I told her, and these are the two bright points that I took out of my trip, even though it was very emotional roller coaster. I said, if you hadn't have gotten me to come, I wouldn't have gotten to see my mom, and I would not have gotten to embrace my mom and to feel how much she had missed me. That was awesome. But I also would not have gotten the truth of how he feels. Because had I came in on Monday, I wouldn't have seen any of them. I would have visited with him briefly, and then I would have went to my hotel that night, got on a plane the next morning, and I'd have been back to Florida. But I got a chance to see the truth of how people can become so fanatical in religion. And this message here is to anyone that has a religious belief where you believe in shunning people. And I don't want to come across as a person that has never done that, because when I was in that religion, that's what was the custom. That's what you're supposed to do. Prior to me leaving, I had started developing more critical thinking, and my mindset wasn't the same. And so I would speak to those that if they were friends of mine. And that's what I would encourage you to really give consideration to, is the fact that there is human qualities. Yes, there may be people that are wicked people. I'm not saying go hang out with wicked people and letting kids that do crazy things, that are stealing and doing drugs, and your kids hang around that. Yeah, you need to protect your family. But when people are there to show love and support to you and to be treated that way, it's really bass backwards. And so many are in situations like I have been in. I don't consider myself of that faith anymore, and I don't hold their title that they give to me. I will speak to them. I love my family, and my dad, I hear unofficially, I got word that he is home. He has not passed away. And my last words to him were, I shook his hand and I said, I hope you listen to the doctors and maybe you'll live longer than you plan to. And I left it at that. And I want to try to be very positive. Again, the purpose of this was not to be negative, but if you know people that are going through a situation, and this is why getting to know our friends and getting to know folks are super important. Individuals that have been shunned by a religion or family, we're all humans. They need new families. Now, I feel fortunate. Some of you knew my story. Some of you that are watching and listening understand my story because you were once of the same faith and you don't practice anymore. You got out and we have become friends. We have bonded, and that bond is very, very valuable to me. But there have been many families that have, in my opinion, adopted me, and our friendships have been very close, and that means the world to me. And so if you know of someone that has ever experienced this, they need love and support and new family. Make yourself available, because to be rejected by their family, that is an unnatural feeling. If you've never felt that, feel free to talk to them. And feel free to talk to me. I'm very open. The fact that I'm doing this video, I'm very open. I don't mind sharing, because too many things families keep quiet. And I'm a different one in my family. I'm the social media one. They don't like that. I'm sorry. Actually, I'm not sorry. It's just who I am, and it's what I'm going to be. Am I going to put everything out there? No, I don't put everything out there. But I also let people know that I am human. I have feelings. I have emotions, and that attracts people to me, and I value that. I will never abuse that friendship or abuse that relationship, because if you choose to embrace me, I'm going to embrace you, brag about you, and edify you, build you up. That's who I am. So that was the weekend. It was challenging, 6 airplanes in 5 days, but I am home. I'm glad to be home. I'm glad to get back into the saddle and rock and roll. And I want to be of a support to others. No longer am I going to mourn my family. The mourning is over. I love my family. I love my mom. I love my sister. I love my dad. I welcome you into my life. If you want to get to know who I am and what I am really doing in this world, and the lives that I feel fortunate that I have been able to touch, to inspire, to get out and move and exercise. If you want to get to know the whole new me, I welcome you to get to know me. I will not be reaching back out, because now I have a new mission. I can no longer mourn the last 3 years of my life. That's over with. That's done, because we've got work to do. Those of you that are listening and you know the mission that I've been on, if you're really ready to lock arms with me, we have a lot of people that are depressed, relationships are damaged, finances are crushed, People are devastated. People are hopeless. Join me in this mission to help other people. And it's not about the business part, just really inspiring and touching lives. We got work to do, and I need help. So I appreciate you listening. I haven't, let me just read some of these comments. I hadn't even paid attention to them. So I want to thank those of you that, Craig, thank you very much. I appreciate that. What's up, cuz? Got Nathaniel on there. Yes, Jordana, you know we're going to keep the head held high, and I appreciate you, my friend. Margie, we'll see you later tonight. Thank you so much. Renata, yes, I am free. And the great people have been put into my life. So you're right, Dennis. One bad apple doesn't spoil the entire bunch. You're absolutely right. And that's why I wanted to make sure that, again, I said, it's not how everyone feels. Kana Johnson, may the chains be broken and peace and joy upon you. Thank you. I appreciate that very much. Well, I appreciate the comments, and I'll go through these and address these individually. One thing I would like to say to everyone, please don't be sorry. When you see me, let's give high fives that a breakthrough has happened, because it's not your fault, but the benefit that I have gotten out of this has strengthened me. As I said, I saw my mom and I got the truth. Once I have that, the rest doesn't matter. Yes, I saw my sister. I got to see my ex. We're still friends. But I got the truth of how he feels. You may have heard me say in some of my therapy that part of why I had addiction issues with certain things was because it was the need for approval and praise from people. I had sought that from my dad ever since I was a child. We had issues going all the way back. And these are things where, when I say families don't talk about certain things, these are issues that we never really addressed. But with maturity and with understanding, I was able to release and forgive him a couple of years ago. And you may have heard me talk about that in some of my therapy. But I'm still human, and we all still want recognition and we want acceptance. So I will repeat, love all you can, whether they've been shunned or not. But those that have been, they're going to need it. But those that have been shunned, you've got to release and let all of that go and go look for new friends. Go look for new family members and find purpose in your life, something to live for. Not being trapped into a regiment of things and letting someone else tell you how to think, how to feel. And hopefully at some point in time, others will wake up and be able to start displaying critical thinking skills for themselves. I appreciate you listening. I'm going to let you have a great afternoon. Those of you that are in the St. Pete area, I'm walking tonight. I've got my friends that are going to be waiting, 7 o'clock, North Shore Park, St. Petersburg, down by the bay. We'll be out there at 7 p.m. this evening. By the volleyball nets, we'll meet, and we're going to get this done tonight. I'm ready to rock and roll. Thanks for all the love and support over this entire weekend, from the question for the day to on Friday and Monday. Thank you. And the travels, I appreciate those supporting comments as well. I'm Eric. Have a great day.